Okay, this screencast is going to cover a big theme this week, and you're going to be looking at Rome and China all this week, and we want to get in the habit of comparing and contrasting and seeing how they're similar and how they're different. So we're going to look at Rome and China, and basically while uh, the Persians and the Greeks are warring and in decline a little bit over time, Rome and China begin their own imperial states. So let's look at these two. And the first way we're going to look at is how they consolidated their empire. What was their basic goal and format on a major political scale? The first thing we're going to look at is that they're both similar in that they're both global. They're large scale, they're reaching out, they're expansive. They're both connected globally through trade along the Silk Roads. They both show their sophistication through large scale, public works, whether building, large walls to keep out nomadic invaders, or roads, or, palaces, or all those kinds of things. Their main unit of their political rule is through a monarchy in which the ruler has a divine appointment, meaning there's some kind of religious or godlike tone to them. In China, they have the mandate of heaven, and in Rome, they believe that their emperors are basically connected to the gods. So there's this sort of religious or supernatural appointment of rulers. In regards to religion, at some level, both absorb an outside religion. In Rome, they absorb Christianity. Christianity starts not as the official Roman religion. The Romans are polytheistic, and then Christianity starts in the Middle East, and because of the Pax Romana, is able to spread all over the Roman Empire until Constantine, an emperor, converts to Christianity and makes it the official, it becomes the official religion sometime after that. China, however, they absorb Buddhism. Now, the difference is that Buddhism, an outside religion coming from India, makes it into China but never takes over. It becomes one religion in the mix of Taoism and Confucianism, and it gets state support on some level, but never becomes, the main religion of China for an extended period of time. For culture and ethnicity, the big difference here is that actual Romans, are always a minority in the empire. Remember, they start as a small city-state of people who expand by conquering, usually people who are different than them. And their answer to that is to offer citizenship to conquered people. But these people may become citizens of Rome, but they still have a different cultural identity. And Rome is very much okay with adopting outside cultures, the biggest example being Christianity. The difference between that and Chinese is always the dominant ethnic group. They're Chinese people conquering other Chinese people. They're not conquering people in North Africa, or the Persian people, or people from the Middle East. They're conquering people in the greater, Chinese region of East Asia. And Confucianism, the main philosophy, the most dominant philosophy in this time period in China, has the phrase of just saying no to the outside world. They're very inward looking. This allows China to maintain sort of a single ethnic unified front. And we'll look specifically, a good example is the language. The Romans produced Latin, and Latin will go on to influence and create other languages, French, Spanish, all the Romance languages eventually. So if you're a Roman citizen, in many cases, you're taking Latin, using that language to build your own language, which helps you maintain your own cultural identity, even though you are a Roman citizen. And that's Latin is able to do it because the alphabet in Latin is based on sounds. The difference with Chinese is their alphabet is based on words and ideas, not sounds, so it doesn't transfer. It's not going to lead to other people creating their own language based on the same alphabet. It doesn't work like that. So it doesn't help create new languages the way Latin does. In politics, they're very similar. They both believe in a centralized government with a ruler and some kind of bureaucracy, governmental system put into place, but very centralized. The Chinese are much more efficient in their bureaucracy or government system, mainly because of the work that Confucianism has done with creating an imperial service system. They really care about training and educating government servants, and that's why they always take the government service exam or civil service exam. Roman government is much more disorganized. However, Romans have a much better system of law. The saying goes, the Confucius believed that good people make good government or a good society. The Romans believe that good laws make good society. Another way that you want to try and compare and contrast, and one where they share a lot of similarities, is their collapses. Now, for the classical period, the last dynasty in China is the Han Dynasty that collapses in 220 CE. In Rome collapses in 476. Now, both the Han and Rome have difficulty maintaining order in their government because there's some flaws. In China, there's a split between those who are loyal to the emperor and those who put more confidence in the Confucian bureaucratic positions, who will, the elites of that society, whether it is you're loyal to the civil service exam and the bureaucrats or to the emperor himself. In Rome, emperors, they have a problem with being killed, which affects the stability of their government. And that's because there's no clear way to pass on power from one emperor to the next, giving potential emperors an incentive to kill so that they can try to make their way in. Sorry about that. Both of these dynasties or civilizations also experience disease, largely because they're conquering new peoples and passing ideas as well as goods and diseases, spreading along the Silk roads, killing off people. They also experience attacks from outsiders. The Chinese are always trying to deal with the people they call the Xiongnu, who are nomadic people who invade on the borders. For a while, the Han and other dynasties are able to, pit the Xiongnu, one tribe against another, or make alliances with them. But as the Han weakens, the Xiongnu become more of a presence and are easily their attacks become easier to carry out. In Rome, you see Germanic tribes that were once conquered by Rome starting to rebel, and also a lot of Germanic peoples being pushed into the Roman Empire for fear of the Huns. The Huns are moving in from Central Asia across Europe, attacking people and driving them into Rome. And it's not long before those Germanic tribes go after overrun Rome in 476. Now, at the end of all this, both there is a sort of collapse of the Han and in Rome. The difference is that China will be reunited again under the Tang and Song dynasties, probably having a lot to do with a unified ethnicity and belief system like Confucianism that sticks around. Rome never is reunited in the European sense. Again, Europe does not maintain a unified imperial state ever again. The one thing that does unite Europe is Christianity. It sticks around, but it's unable, that common cultural identity that Rome eventually gets through Christianity is sort of too late. The empire is already in decline, and then Christianity will go through changes in itself with splitting between Orthodox Christians and Catholics and eventually Protestants and Catholics. Rome really struggles because they are ruling over a much more diverse group of people. So I hope this was helpful as you're looking at multiple civilizations in the classical era.